Hello, guys. Welcome back. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us this evening for our amazing interview with the Renaissance Man himself. And we're going to see why he is the Renaissance Man, Mr. Sean Wright. And of course, this is Michelle Diamond, your host of InDaHouseMedia House Call. And this segment is sponsored and powered by Sapphire Emerald Magazine and part with Next Level Promotion and definitely InDaHouseMedia. So thank you again for coming in and getting to know all about the Renaissance Man. So Mr. Wright, what's going on, my New Yorker? Hailing from South Jamaica, Queens. What's up?
No doubt. First, I want to thank you guys for having me. To be on a platform like this is truly a blessing. To be important enough to be on a platform like this is even a bigger blessing.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. You know, you and I have been trying to link up for a minute now, and finally, you know, they say timing is everything. So,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the timing is just right. So, you know, I've done my research on you. And of course, I knew a lot about you from, you know, our engagement with each other.
Right.
And, you know, you just have an amazing background. As we stated, you're originally from, you know, South Jamaica, Queens, New York. If nobody knows where that New York, not Jamaica the island, where I'm from, but
Okay.
South Jamaica, Queens, where I used to hang out as well because my family had a salon, you know, over there, Parsons.
Okay.
So I know my stuff, but
yeah,
but you know, Q Club and all of that.
Oh
yeah. Look, history. So we have lots to talk about. So tell me, you know, about your childhood, growing up with these amazing parents of yours, being singers and songwriters, and how that influenced you.
Oh man, it was crazy. Me being the oldest of four. You know, always like my mother had her singing group, my father had his singing group, but they never sang together, which was crazy. So I was around music almost 24 hours a day. If my mom's group wasn't rehearsing, my dad's group was rehearsing. So so that gave me the affinity for music. There's actually a picture of me floating around in diapers and a set of headphones on, like a big set of headphones. Ever since I always loved music. Music would put me to sleep. I would wake up to music. Like I love music. So when I found out that my parents not only were doing cover records, they were also writing their own material. A lot of times I would sit in on their sessions and I would write my version, my kiddie version, to the things that they were talking about, which I really didn't know anything about love or anything like that. But their music taught me that. You know what I mean?
Okay. So your parents, how far did they go with their you know, musical talents?
It's weird. My parents always just like did like local shows for money and telethons and things of that nature. However, it goes a little bit deeper than that because I have my mother's sister was part of a group called the Exciters in the 60s, and they had a hit song called Tell 'Em. So they toured with the Beatles and, you know, the Jacksons and all of that. So I've always been around music. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it surrounded me from the time I was old enough to remember until today.
Awesome. So your bio stated, you know, basically you were born to be a writer, and that quote unquote is pretty much based on your upbringing, being around such amazing talented people as your parents. How was that for you getting into songwriting?
Like I said, getting into songwriting was like almost a rite of passage in my house. You know, you're around it all the time. You know, imagine being a kid who has school in the morning, but your parents are rehearsing in the living room until the wee hours of the morning for an upcoming show that they may have, you know, and this is how they paid the bills aside from their 9-to-5s. You know, my dad was the New York Telephone Company, which is now Verizon, was his first job straight out of high school. And my mom was a nursing school straight out of high school. So aside from their 9-to-5s and hustling and grinding, getting these paid shows in different clubs and things of that nature was a way for us to make ends meet. So, yeah.
Okay. And being that you saw how much your parents sacrificed and, making ends meet, was that what pushed you further to actually, consider, becoming a writer as well?
Um, Songwriting, yes. Like I remember writing my first song. It was a love song. It was so corny for the girl who lived next door. Which is like my sister right now. My family and the family next door, it's almost like we're connected at the hip. So,
Aw.
as far as being friends, like I call them my sister, they call me their brother, my family, their brothers and sisters, et cetera, et cetera. But I had a crush on the girl next door.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Her name was Kim Douglas. Shout out to my sister Kim. So the first time I ever wrote a song, a love song, she probably don't even remember this. And if she does, she'll deny it. But first time I ever wrote a love song was for her. And I remember being so corny and walking next door with I had a piece of paper, a loose leaf paper, and standing outside her door, singing it to her while she was like in her window. It's really, really corny stuff. Really corny stuff. But I was 9. What do you expect?
Oh, at the age of 9, hey, look, it did something because look, it molded you into the man you are today. So stop it. Every experience is always a blessing. So tell me about how you got into from, at the age of 9, starting to write and, having the influence of your parents, seeing them with the Beatles and things of that nature. How did you get, into the music industry and even worked with some of, the great people such as, Devontae Swing from Jodeci? Tell us a little bit about that and that experience.
Once I started, getting into, I knew I couldn't sing. So, writing songs as a 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old wasn't really getting me anywhere. So around that time, hip hop came into, not to tell my age, but the hell with it now. Hip hop started coming into existence. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Hip hop is what I want to do. I can't dance, so break dance has never worked for me. So I had to find my way into hip hop. So I started writing raps. And that's how I kind of got like my foot cemented into the music industry. By the time I want to fast forward a little bit, it turned a little bit more professional for me when I was around, I want to say 16, 17, which is a great segue into what I want to go to. I met Prince Marky D, who was a legendary rapper from the group The Fat Boys. I met him through my cousin, who was doing some production work for him. And sadly, we get the word today that Prince Marky D has passed away. And I want to say shout out to his family, his mother, his children.
Absolutely.
Mark was like my family. And he taught me a lot about the game. And, I was underneath his tutelage for probably the majority of my adolescent to, early to mid 20s. You know what I mean? He's the first person that took me on the road and things of that nature. I learned about publishing for him and, learned about groupies from him. God bless you, Mark. You know what I mean? But we had a lot of fun together and that dude taught me a lot and I really appreciate him. And if I didn't say it enough while he was here, I want to give him his flowers now. Like, I love you, Mark. God bless you and rest in peace.
I know, rest in peace, and definitely sending our condolences on behalf of the entire InDaHouseMedia family. It's never an easy thing. And, when you share that with me, because I definitely was not on social media as much today as I normally would be promoting and,
right,
interacting, because you know how it is with, we go back and like, hey, what's going on? But and I'm really people see me and behind the camera and this persona is here because I have something to do and I have to maintain. But I also lost my uncle last
my condolences.
night. And, it's never easy, especially when you're dealing with back-to-back things. So I truly understand, and it's yeah, both were great men,
Yes.
May they both, rest in peace. And hey, we just have our angels now. So it's all good. Their memories live on with us.
Definitely.
I appreciate you sharing that. So tell us a little bit about the year 2011. What that meant for you. And, because a couple of things happened and I'm like, what? Let me find out. Yeah, share with us.
So 2011 was a big year for me, unexpectedly. I had moved from New York to Pennsylvania. I don't want to say I had grown tired of the industry, Working with Devontae was one of the biggest highlights of my life, because I learned from Mark, but I worked with Devontae. But if it wasn't for what Mark taught me, and my best friend Hassan and my cousin Corey Rooney, there was no way I would be able to take there's no way I would ever had the opportunity to work with Devontae. And that's shout out to my best friend Hassan Johnson, Damon Hassan Johnson. If it wasn't for him taking me to a meeting with him, I would have never got the chance to work with Devontae. But after that situation, I need to change the scenery. You know what I mean? The music industry had become a little bubblegum to me. You know what I mean? Because I take my craft very serious. So, lyrically, when I'm seeing just anything, it's like playing a game of spades and seeing like a 3 walk. You get real mad about that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like wait a minute.
Right. So I'm listening to all these lyrics and all these songs, hip hop and R&B, and I'm like, nah, this is not what I got into it for. I kind of want to step away from it. So I moved to Pennsylvania, and I was still close enough to commute back and forth to New York if needed. And I just wanted to do something different, which I want to still showcase my creative writing ability, but I want to kind of find another branch to the tree. And I wrote my first movie, which at the time was called A Diamond in the Rough. And what prompted me to write that is because at the same time, Cameron had Killer Season. Shout out to Cam. But it was horrible. And I thought to myself, I thought to myself, if Cam can do this and it's sold out everywhere and it's making millions of dollars, I know I shouldn't say it's horrible. Let me backtrack. Cam wasn't the writer today that he was back then. Is that a better politically way to say it?
Yes, politically correct.
Yeah. So Cam has grown, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't want no Dipset smoke. I just want to go out and I want to say that.
Cam, we love you. We're talking about our journeys. Like he wasn't always the best writer. You heard about his 9-year-old interaction with the lady next door. So.
Right. So when Cam wrote Killer Season, a friend of mine from LA was like, hey, I want you to see this, blah, blah, blah. And she's the one who said, if Cam could do it, you can do it. So I wrote this script called A Diamond in the Rough. And I learned quickly that because I had money didn't mean I had knowledge. And I had ran through my savings 3 times. And, the girl I was dealing with at the time, or the woman I was dealing with at the time, she supported me. And she was like, at the 3rd time, she was like, babe, look, I support you and everything, but like you zeroed us out 3 times. You replenish, but you zero. You replenish it. She like, maybe this movie thing is not for you. Or maybe you should fire somebody who knows what they're doing and hire them. So I was like, all right. So the script just sat on my desk I had a home office, and the script just sat on my desk for 3 years, and maybe even a little bit more. And people were like, "Oh, you should release it as a book." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "I'm a Leo. I'm from New York. I'm known. I'm used to being on tour and being in the limelight."
Right.
To me, an author, just sounded corny and whack and boring, and I didn't want no parts of it. So it took another year for people to convince me to do it. And I say this in every interview that I've done, and I want to stay consistent. I was on the radio in Pennsylvania at the time, and I did an interview with a young lady named Brittany Williams. She's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's a best-selling author on so many different levels. And Brittany and we forged a friendship off air. And I had when I decided to try to turn Diamond in the Rough into a script, I sent it to her first. And I was like, look, I want you to look this over for me. I emailed it to her. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And she was like, I'll look at it when I can. I'll leave for tour in the morning. And I'll read it, while I'm on a bus or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. But then she called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and was like, this is a bestseller. And I was like, what? I thought you couldn't read it. No time soon. She's like, I opened it to see what you were talking about. I couldn't put it down. She's like, I'm not even done packing. I'm late. And I was like, cool. I was like, so get me in with your publishing company, because now I'm thinking I need to replenish the money that I've spent on the film. And I've seen them give her, can I say shitload?
Absolutely.
I seen them give her a shitload of money. I seen them give her like 3 checks for $60,000. So now I'm like, can you get me in with them? If you think it's a bestseller, I believe you. She's like, Sean, I can get you in with them and you can have a check in a week or so. But don't get locked in like I did. She said, if you got money left over, start your own publishing company, sign yourself, release yourself first, and start your own legacy. Don't sell your soul to another company. So I did that. I said, how much does it cost? She said, you're going to need around 20, 30,000. I didn't have that at the time because of the losses I had taken with the film industry. And I called a good friend of mine, Fred Lee. I want to shout out to Fred Lee. And I said, look, this is what I got going on, blah, 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 whatever. And, he was like, I got half. I believe in you and I believe in your talent. I'll be buying them morning with a check. And he did. And I turned Diamond in the Rough into a Gangster's Melody because it was already a movie and a book called Diamond in the Rough. And I didn't want it to associate it. I didn't want the two associated. So I changed the title to a Gangster's Melody, which I thought was something that nobody else would come up with. And they didn't, thank God. And I didn't expect nobody to read the book except for family and friends. And to get the news the next day that I had already topped the crack 10 or cracked the top 10 or top 5. I can't remember what it was offhand. But out of 2 million books on Amazon, I was in, the upper echelon.
Right.
And that's the rest is pretty much history after that, as far as books are concerned.
You had quite a few, bestsellers. And that's basically, you touched on the publishing company, which you did name, Just Right Publications, which, suits you well, thus, pun on right. And, that's great. So not only did you release your first book, that led into you actually writing and releasing 7 more books, and you also helped other authors to become bestsellers as well. So how was that experience for you with, assisting others on their writing journey?
It's weird because I never expected a Gangster's Melody to do as well as it did. I thank God that it did, but I never expected it to do as well as it did. And when I created Just Right Publications, I never expected to sign anybody. I was just taking her advice. I was taking Brittany's advice on signing myself, so I didn't have to split the money with nobody.
Right.
And so I never thought about signing other people. But when a Gangster's Melody took off, my inbox just started getting flooded from aspiring authors. And at the time, I didn't know how to handle, or I was afraid, to handle someone else's career because mine was moving so fast. I didn't have a staff. It was just me. My business partner was a silent partner. So he wasn't hands-on with the day-to-day business. So I'm an author, CEO, main act. I'm everything in one. I handle the finances. So for Gangsta Melody came out in 2011. I didn't sign people until I moved to Atlanta, which was 2013. So for 2 years, I denied. But I also sent them, hey, maybe you could, check out Quan or check out J.M. Benjamin or check out Wahida Clark. And I would send them, because I didn't want the responsibility of your career and your life and your bread and butter in my hand. And I knew I was unselfish enough to know that I didn't have the time to give you or to dedicate to you launching your career. So for 2 years, I told everybody no. And then, the spirit touched me one morning and was like, today's the day you need to start signing people.
Right.
And I did. I woke up, I called my attorney. I said, hey, I'm going to start signing people. And she was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And she drafted up the paperwork and I posted on Facebook. 10 minutes later, I had like 56 inboxes.
Wow.
Out of the 56 inboxes, I chose 3. I chose 3 people. And from 3 people, it went to 10. From 10 people, it went to 15. At one point, I think I had 21 different authors signed to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. The money was great. But
that I know that look. so how was that? It was
the money was awesome, right? So for like 3 years I didn't have to work. I'm talking about the money was coming in consistently. We're talking about X amount of dollars a month. I'm talking about I could pay my bills and have a couple of thousand left over to blow if I wanted to. I was living high off the hog, you know, and I was living what I call today, now that I'm more financially wise. Back then, I was living nigger rich. I'm like, oh, I know in 30 days I'm gonna get another 10 bands or 8 bands. So I'm gonna blow this one because it's coming right back. And I just wasn't thinking smart.
So you're telling me you did not pay attention to anything about financial literacy?
I knew nothing about financial literacy. You know, we're talking about someone who came from this. I was born and raised in Queens,
Right.
dabbled in the music industry at a time where if you had some money, you spent it all. And then after that, I was in the streets. And then when I was in the streets hustling, I was making money, spending it because I know I was getting it right back in a couple of hours. Make
Right.
1,000, spend 1,000. So I never had anyone to show me financial literacy. Even the celebrities I knew, nobody sat me down and said, Sean, when you get this money, this is what you do with it. I didn't have anybody to do that. When I was with celebrities, Mark included, God bless him, everybody was blowing money a million miles a minute. And I was like, I want to be like them.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I met Devontae, you know, we lived in a studio. We lived in a hotel in Mamaroneck, New York for 6 months. Devontae, there was a hobby shop around the corner. There was he bought a real expensive racetrack, not the little ones you had when you was a kid. The cars cost $100 a piece, and you had to build the cars, and you had to buy the engine. So the basic model cost $100, but you could buy a new engine for $100. You buy tires for $50, and the track went around the whole studio, and we would sit there every day. Me, Devontae, some other celebrities, we would sit there and we would race for hundreds and hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. We would just race because these weren't toy cars. These were really. We had to build these cars, paint them. So nobody really said, yo, you're blowing a little, because I wasn't making a lot of money with Devontae. I was getting per diem. And I was waiting on publishing to come in from the project that we were working on. So I'm just getting money and blowing it, getting it back by shooting dice. Nobody never sat me down and said, yo, when you hit that mark, this is what you need to do. You know what I mean? So I never had anyone to teach me financial literacy. So I just all I knew was blowing money fast.
Winging it. Yeah. And, that's why it's so important now. I mean, you mentioned a lot that you were around people and you saw them spending also. Sad to say, being around, celebrities and so forth and having a few good friends that are celebrities, you learn, that when they were younger, when they first got signed, that was the thing. Ooh, have the money come in and blow it, blow it, blow it. And nobody really,
correct.
Molded them and said, hey, set this up. You have Uncle Sam, so make sure you have a good, exactly. So a good accountant, making sure that you're taking care of the IRS. Investing. So it goes a long way. And I'm just glad that we're all able to grow and learn from past mistakes. But it sounds like you definitely did a lot. You contributed a lot to the media world as well. As we said, the Renaissance Man, that's just a few of the hats. That also, led you talked about, the movie production side of it. Tell us about Beyond the G.
Oh man, Beyond the G is my baby. Beyond the G actually came to me as a dream back in 2013, 2014. I mean, my mind, it was a weird dream because it played out from beginning to end, but there were no faces to the characters. And I remember jumping up out my sleep and sitting at my computer and typing out the skeleton portion of what I believed to be the script. And at the time, I knew this director here in Atlanta, Michigan Moses Goldsby. And he had just left the house that night. And I called him, and it was like 6 a.m. I called him because I knew he was headed to work. And I was like, yo, I got this script I want to send you. And his exact words to me was, you could email it to me, but I'm so booked. We probably won't be able to get to it for like another year and a half. I'm like, well, just put eyes on it. Kind of like the same Britney situation. And when I sent it to him, again, it was just a rough draft. And he called me back an hour later and was like, I'm stopping everything I'm doing. We need to shoot this now.
Wow.
yeah, so we tried it, and then it didn't work for whatever reason. Certain members of the crew had personal issues at home that they were going through, whatever. For whatever reason, God said now's not the time, and it just happened that I sat around, and I'm not very religious, but I'm very spiritual. If that makes any sense.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And
Spirituality, very good.
and what happened was I was laying down, and God was like, get up off your, and get the script done. And she was like, he was like, or whatever God was like,
Hey, look,
God was like, enough, you've learned enough, studying under Michigan. I call him Michmo. I was like, he's like, you studied enough under Michmo, you know what to do. All you need is a good crew. You can direct. You don't need, not that you don't need him, but he's taught you enough. So I called him to confirm. I'm like, yo, dog. He's like, I'm still not ready to jump back into it. But it was like he was Obi-Wan Kenobi and I was Luke Skywalker. He's like, you use the Force. Like, I've taught you everything you need to know. So go be a Jedi.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? and I did, and I put an ad out, and you'd be surprised. Atlanta is the melting pot for the entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
And I put an ad out, and so many people, who believe in me and believe in my vision, and people who, of course, people Google you, right? They want to make sure you ain't, you're not a clown.
Correct.
So people Google you, and they're like, oh, okay, there's some validity to what he's saying. So people attach themselves to the project. And right now we have a great crew running Beyond a G, which I will announce here, I guess. We've decided to turn into a series, not just a one-off film.
Say that one more time.
So y'all got the tea first. It's called tea, right? Did I say it right?
Yes, you did. Look, now you want. Well, I don't have tea, but I have some water. I'm sipping.
Oh, this ain't tea. I can promise you this ain't tea. Look, on my mama, on God, whatever they say.
You were going to behave yourself.
I am behaving myself. This on God, this ain't tea. That's how I'm trying to sound young.
Really, you don't even have to do that because you're Sean Wright. You really don't have to do that. Amazing person, just so humble. I love it. So just be yourself. You're always phenomenal. You're good, and we have good things coming up. Okay,
we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Because
you don't know it yet. You don't know it yet, but I got something for you.
I know you've been telling me for the longest, Michelle.
Right.
I know you have. You really have. You
can run, but you can't hide, because what the world doesn't know is right now. I just got the word the other day, and God works in mysterious ways. He's funny. I'm sitting home and I get a text yesterday, as a matter of fact. You might have seen it. And there's a very known playwright in New York that I know. His name is Omar Moore. Omar and I did some work with each other through a mutual friend. My friend Lonnie. I went to junior high school with her, and I've never seen her again since junior high school. But she follows me on social media. And Lonnie, one day before I moved to Atlanta, was like, "Yo, I want you to meet this guy named Omar. Blah blah blah, whatever." So I go to New York, I meet Omar. I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. I go to New York, I meet Omar. Omar's in the middle of a play. Omar's like, Sean, I want to attach you to the play. I want you to come on as a producer. I don't know nothing about right now. I don't know nothing about producing nothing. I don't know nothing about it. He's like, well, I'm gonna show you the ropes, which he does. The play is a success. As God is my witness, I haven't seen Omar since then, physically. Right? But Omar always showed me so much love and pays homage to me whenever he can. So back in August, I get a text, and it's an article that Omar did in Beverly Hills. And oh, God forgive me, I forget the name of the magazine. And he's like, oh, because I always told Omar I want him to do my first book was called A Gangster's Melody. Right. And everyone is asking for a film for it, but I never got around to doing it. And I always talked to Omar about doing it. And in his article in I don't want to call the name the wrong magazine out, but it was in Beverly Hills. And he says, yeah, I've got this project. The person interviewing him was like, what you got going on in the future? He's like, I got this project. He named all these projects, and I'm working with the great and talented Sean Wright on bringing A Gangster's Melody to life. That was like back in July, August of 2020. Yesterday, I get a text message, and I had to screenshot it because he was interviewed in another magazine out of California, and mind you, he doesn't live in California; he lives in New York. Omar's just that big. It says the headline says Omar Moore signs on to direct A Gangsta's Melody by Sean Wright.
Wow.
And he just sent it to me, and he's like, "Bro, I'm telling you, like I'm showing you, I'm 10 toes down. I love Omar to death. Like, and I only met him one time.
Omar.
Shout out to Omar Moore. Dope playwright. If you ever in town, or if he ever has a play running in your city, go see it. He's dope.
He is.
He's really dope.
Yes, that's awesome. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a few words from our sponsor, and we will be back because we're going to tap back in with Mr. Sean Wright to hear all of the great stuff that he has planned coming up and hear a little bit more about the amazing things with Beyond the G.
Let's get it. Let's pay these bills. Did I say that right?
Absolutely. Have to do it all the time. So we'll be back and we'll delve right back in.
Okay, here we go.
Snow Black now available. Snow Black, someone's going to play. InDaHouse Media, and now back to our program.
Awesome. We are back and thank you guys. Of course, InDaHouse Media is powered by Sapphire Emerald Magazine. And of course, you heard about Snow Black. So make sure you guys go out and cop it. As you see, they're running a promo on it, $3.99. Don't want to miss it. Amazing talent in that movie as well. Mr. Robert Parham did his thing. So shout out to you guys. And now back with Mr. Wright. So thank you again for joining us. And if you guys just tuned in, this is Mr. Sean Wright, the Renaissance Man. And let me tell you, his list, the accolades, go on for days and days and days and days. And he's an amazing person to get to know. And, you know, he's just as humble as they come. So thank you again for gracing us. And yeah, let's delve in about Omar and what you guys have planned. We heard about the magazines, the shout outs, and then him surprising you with that text message. So I know you were taken back by it. So what does this mean now?
God willing, it means great things. You know, and not to beat a dead horse, but for Omar to be interviewed for such a highly acclaimed magazine by such a highly acclaimed journalist, and for them to make that the headline, Omar Moore signs on to direct A Gangsta's Melody for author Sean Wright, like that yesterday, like that just made my day. You know what I mean? Because Omar and I have talked about it in passing. We've conversed about it. You know what I mean? But there's been no paperwork done. There's nothing. There's just that brotherhood there from a man I only met one time over 10 years ago. You know what I mean? He'll call me every once in a while to be like, hey, I'm doing this in New York. What do you think about this? And I, you know, to pick my brain, and vice versa. If I'm working on a play or whatever, I'll be like, hey, oh, what do you think about this? We've only met that one time. You know what I mean? And God put people in your life for a reason.
Absolutely.
So who knew back when I met Omar, I didn't even have a book out. So when I met Omar, for him to turn around and embrace me the way he did, and to keep my name popping the way he does every time he does an interview, I can't do nothing but, you know, take my hat off to that guy. You know what I'm saying? And he would be here tonight listening. But right now, like, so Omar Moore has a series that he's working on right now called, and oh my God, I don't want to misquote it because I'm the producer. COVID, The Way We Were. And it's a bunch of short stories about how people were before COVID.
Yes.
And before COVID and then during COVID. You know what I mean? So that's what he's in the middle of doing right now. But I the reason why Omar plugged A Gangsta's Melody is because I told him the other day, I said, look, man, I'm here in Atlanta shooting Beyond the G. Why don't we simultaneously shoot a Gangsta's Melody. I'll handle the Atlanta crew, you handle the New York crew, and I'll just fly back and forth and oversee. And he was like, let's do it. And but I had no idea that number one, I had no idea he had such a prolific interview coming up. And nor did I even know that they were going to make that a headline. That touched my heart in such a way because they could have made anything he's doing a headline because O has a lot going on as well. But for them to say Omar Moore signs on to direct A Gangsta's Melody by Sean Wright, that right there,
it does something.
Man, listen, it almost like brings tears to my eyes because again, I don't hang out with O. We don't have drinks. We'll touch bases with one another every once in a while. There are people who I deal with more than Omar who will never mention me. You know what I mean? Because they want to take that spotlight and use it for themselves.
That's okay. You know, everybody's not for everybody. We, you know, being in the media world, we all know that. You know, we learned that.
Right.
You know, some people come in, you know, temporarily.
Right.
And, you know, it was just a learning experience. You know, it built you to where you are. And, you know, not that you hate on them or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, right. You wish but that's the sincerity with, you know, us. You wish people well and want to see them do well. That's not everybody. And that's okay. You know, we're all indifferent and just
and that's why
it's better to be together. And
that's why I say, like, for O to take, like I said, it's not like it was a excerpt from the interview and he just screenshot me the sentence. It was the main caption.
Right, front page.
And for you to take the shine away from everything else you're doing and
very humble
and pass it on to me, man, that's a lot. That's like Kyrie Irving saying LeBron. I mean, sorry, that's like Dwayne Wade saying LeBron, this is your team.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know, shout out to Omar Moore and More Than Music Entertainment because Omar is also in the music industry.
Yes.
And he plays on words like myself. So his company is called More Than Music. And that's what we got going on. So we're shooting A Gangsta's Melody and Beyond the G simultaneously.
Yes.
And you know, Just Right Publications, we have launched a film division. So we're the first and only publishing company to take all books and transfer them to film. And that's what we're doing because nobody else is offering that type of deal.
Mm-hmm. What about the reality show? There's no more in the cup. Like, what about the reality?
Oh, you saw that?
Yes. Oh. He's like, oh, you're so funny, Sean. So I know the reality shows, sitcoms, you know, drama, and even sketch comedy. You name it. Like you are a Renaissance person.
So check this out. I'm gonna tell y'all this here because what I'm about to tell you has not been released yet because it was real private.
So you heard it first here in the house.
You heard it first here. Only select few know what I'm about to say because it wasn't even on my Facebook or Instagram. When COVID hit and we had the lockdown, I decided, look, COVID messed up a lot of money for me. And I was like, I got to overcompensate some way. So I was sleeping. And everything come to me when I'm asleep. And it came to me in my sleep. And I jumped up out my sleep. And even on my business partner, shout out to Monique Arnold.
Yes.
Clothing
line, right?
Huh? Yeah, for the clothing line. And I text her, and I knew she was gonna be sleeping. I knew she was gonna curse me out when she woke up.
Hey, Monique.
But I was like, I got it. So it was like Eureka, I got it, right? So I came up with this. People are gonna kill me. I came up with a reality show called Cupid Quarantine. All right, catchy, right? So it was about the premise of the show was like Flavor of Love, but it's like we're all locked down and we can't date in person. So let me get a bunch of videotape. Let me get a bunch of submissions from women who have been wanting to date me, who've been in my inbox, and we'll go on a bunch of virtual dates. And at the end of lockdown, we'll go on a real date and see if the connection is real or if it was just virtual. It was a smash. I didn't know that many people like me for real. Monique was like, are you paying these people? Why are we getting so many submissions? It was, when I tell you, it was a success. We had sponsors. We had a company called Live Escapes Entertainment. Shout out to Corey and Deborah who were like, we're gonna pay for whenever. So the end all, the finish line was when I pick a female to go on a real date with, we were going to go away for a weekend, 5-star hotel, chauffeur. We're going to pull out all the stops. Live Escape Entertainment was like, we'll pay for everything. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, because I was paying for everything myself at the time. And it was great. So every week it was on Zoom. So it was so dope because these women who never met me in person we had challenges. Oh, what would you cook for Sean if you and him were laying next to each other right now? When I tell you, Michelle, the things that they were doing, they wasted a lot of food. Yo, it was like one girl was in her backyard because it was summertime. She was in her backyard and she had a tent set up and tiki torches and blah, blah, blah. One girl had lobster tails. I'm talking about, and she was like, this is my plate and this is Sean's plate. I mean, she might have gave it to her side nigga later, but it don't matter. For camera, it was for me. But it was such a success. The ratings were dope. And then I made an executive decision in the season finale, or the episode before the season finale. And I think I screwed it up. And yeah, I think I screwed it up because the episode before the season finale, I was supposed to choose one person to go with me to Miami, Cocoa Beach or Coconut Grove. And I decided the episode prior to that episode, it's not right that I only take one person. I should take, for two things, for television purposes, and for, just to be fair, a weekend consists of 3 days, correct? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Technical, okay, fine.
Right. So I said so on the episode before last, when I'm supposed to choose the person, I said I'm going to instead of choosing one person. And reality shows this all the time. I don't know. I was shot for it. I said I'm going to choose, instead of choosing one of you, I'm going to choose two of you, and I'm going to pay for. I don't get it. I'm going to pay for everything. We're going to go to Miami, blah blah blah, and I'm going to give one of you a real date on Saturday. And I'm going to give one of you a real date on Sunday. And I make my decision live Sunday night. One contestant, I won't say her name, was like, this is not what I signed on for.
No.
Right. The other contestant was like, a free trip to Miami, send me the ticket. So it was a great idea. But I think because I changed the picture in the 9th inning, maybe it wasn't fair of me. I don't know, but I just thought it would be realistic. It's not fair for me to choose one person off of one day. If it's going to come down to two people, each of you should get a real date so I can see how we interact.
I mean, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? And one person was like, no, I didn't. And maybe it's because of the challenge we put them through. Maybe it was probably the last challenge that did it. Like, I did all of this and I still got to share Miami with somebody. I get it now. Hindsight is 2020. Because last episode we had them doing some crazy shit. But nonetheless, that's what the reality show was about. And now we're doing sketch comedy and things of that nature. I'm working with some companies who have their own networks on Roku and Hulu. And I'm not Hulu, Roku, Tubi, a bunch of other things. And one thing COVID should have taught every hustler is you can make money off of this.
Absolutely.
People are finding hidden talents all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And if it had not been for COVID, there would have been no Cupid Quarantine. There'd been no Cupid Quarantine. We had people in Charlotte, LA, Miami, like it was like a real reality. You would have thought it was Love and Hip Hop. They were like, how much you guys charge for an appearance? I'm like, shit, how much are you gonna pay? I didn't think about this.
Right.
How much you guys charge for a walkthrough? $2,500 a piece. Great. As soon as we're able to do, as soon as the club opens, we want you guys.
Right.
I'm like, wow, really? But it never came to fruition. But the ratings were still there. You know what I mean? And it was real impromptu and it was real unprofessionally done on both sides, being my side and the contestant side. It wasn't thoroughly thought out. So I take the hit on that.
Well, I mean, at least you're, open and honest to share that, in any business venture, you're going to have your ups and downs, and sometimes things work and sometimes they don't, but it doesn't mean that the wheel doesn't continue to spin and more production for better things.
And I found out a lot of women like me. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yo, listen, Monique was like, my business partner, she was like, because she's getting the submission tapes, right? Because at first she's looking at me like, this will never work. Maybe she use another contestant. Then when the submission tapes come in, she's like, bro, are you paying these people? I'm like, no, I'm not paying. I promise you I'm not paying them. It was more than anything, it was fun. Right. But yeah, so that opened the door to other things. And now, we're just taking Just Right Publications and films to a whole nother level, which is why, the Right Direction Multimedia Group was formed, because we do more than just books now.
Absolutely. Yep. Taking things to the next level. I like that. It's amazing. And
you see what I did there? You see my play on words?
Yeah. I know. I already know you, Sean. I get it. Look, we have some things in motion. Okay, but so, it's just amazing to have you on and to allow us to tap in. And now you guys understand why they call him the Renaissance Man. He wears many hats. He's done a lot, from songwriting to screenwriting, books, films, you hear it, sketch comedy, dramas, and his own reality. So make sure you guys tap all the way in. And Sean, let them know where they can find you.
Oh, and we didn't talk about the clothing line. Pretty rough.
Can you tell them where they can find you?
So you can find the clothing line, which is a women's clothing line only. Mm-hmm. It is Pretty Rough Apparel on Instagram and Facebook. And on Facebook, you find me at it was Author Sean Wright, but everybody started calling me Arthur, and it really started pissing me off. They thought my name was Arthur, and that really irritated me. So I just changed it to Author. Just changed it to Sean Wright. On Instagram, it's Author AUTHOR _ Matic. Yeah. Because everything I do is automatic. Yeah. And Twitter, it is I Write You Read, but it's really weird. It is why I don't have no followers. It's EYE. You know what? It's EYE. It's EYE WRIGHT, the letter UREAD. I Write You Read. You read. Yes. So thank you for sharing your ats with everyone. And that brings us back. Since Sean wanted to jump in and talk about the clothing line before I could mention it, because I'm sorry. I thought you were kicking me off. My bad.
No, let me stop. We talked about our girl. Hey, Melody. His business partner, they started an amazing clothing line together. And as you said, go ahead and hold it up for them again. Pretty Rough Apparel. Yes, yes. And I'm going to have some of our artists, to become, we're going to talk about some things, some other things.
I'm going to send you a whole box for anybody you can get to wear during All-Star Weekend. How about that?
We need it. Actually, I'm going to...
We'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Oh, yeah. Shout out.
That came out, to your girl. Soft launch in July of 2020.
Yeah, so Monique started out, and I love Monique to death, right? Monique started out as an intern for me when I was on the radio here in Atlanta. I put up an ad because I need an assistant. And she answered the ad. Two people answered the ad, her and another woman I won't name. And Monique just answered the call and went above and beyond. The task was do 5 things. Monique showed up to the station with 20 things done. I did your 5, but here's another 15 that I think will look great for you. And when I say she's just so dope, right? And then we got my book. I had a show called Doing It on the Couch. That was the name of our show on the radio. And we also had a podcast. So we would travel. Then we got booked to do a show in the Bahamas.
The Renaissance Man, y'all. Let me tell you.
the co-host of the show couldn't make it. And I didn't want to do the show by myself because they had the crowd was expecting 2 people. I called Monique, who at the time was my intern. Mind you now, we only spoke once a week. Never did any after work, nothing. And I called her, like, Mo, I need you to come with me to the Bahamas. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I need you to fill in for insert co-host name here because I don't want to give her no shine right now. Right. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, look, I'll pay for it. Just come. And she's like, okay, bet. She went with me. She filled in, killed it. I'm talking, we did everything on the fly. Like we rearranged the show on the fly. We had a game show on the cruise ship. It was a cruise, by the way, but my first cruise ever. I was scared to death. With a game show on the cruise ship, everybody came. It was a Battle of the Sexes game show. It was so. Shout out to Live Escape, and
yes, huge shout out.
Shout out to Live Escape, Corey and Deborah. They own Live Escape Entertainment, and they're the ones who took the chance on us and booked us and paid us to do a good show in the Bahamas and on board. And I can honestly say, without Monique filling in, it probably wouldn't have went off the way it did, right? Because I'm a fool, but I like to play off others. And from that point, Monique and I built a more than just a work relationship. She's like my little sister. So as time went on and I started doing more and more and more, I was just like, you know what? You're assisting me and everything. And I'm not a selfish dude. Money's not a big thing for me. I mean, it's a big thing, but it's not a big thing.
Gotcha.
So I was like, look, everything you help me with, why not I make you a partner? You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to feel like you're working for this, that, and third, or working for crumbs. I'd rather you be a partner with me. And she accepted. And, you know, when I came up with Pretty Rough, I mean, when I came up with Pretty Rough back in like 05, 06. But when I came up with the idea to launch it, me being a man and Pretty Rough being a woman's clothing line, I'm the only guy you'll ever see with this on. For Monique to come on board and be like, no, you shouldn't do it that way. You should do it this way. And you should, when she does all the shopping and she does everything from the marketing, the branding. I could not. Pretty Rough would not be where it's at if it wasn't for Monique.
And you need a strong person behind you, or Monique, let me rephrase that, by your side to ensure that everything
correct
smoothly. So yeah, big
correct
shout out on that. And you know, the soft launch in July of 2020. See, we both were doing stuff back to back, as last year we had, you know, the PWIA in July. So, you know, we've been back and forth for a minute, but, you know, this year is going to be amazing. We know there's still things going on out there in the world. We are extra cautious. I've been stepping back a bit because of, you know, a couple of family members passing and friends, not all COVID related, but, you know, it's real out there. And we just want, you know, you guys to make sure that y'all stay protected and continue planning. You know, just because you're indoors does not mean that you can't continue, because you have internet access and, you know, your brain still works. So, right, get your plans together, you know, live and do everything intentionally. That's my word for you today. And, you know, again, we are blessed to have the Renaissance man himself, Mr. Sean Wright, in the building with us, you know, and we are going to have more of Mr. Wright, definitely a part of the InDaHouseMedia team. So he's officially in the house. Hey,
most definitely.
So
most definitely. And I welcome the opportunity. And like I said, I've been wanting to work with you for a minute now. So whatever we can do.
Likewise. Thank you. Look, you've been patient. So, you know, I've been like, Sean, this happened. You know, this is going on. Let me get to Atlanta. You know, so I'm here now. And, you know, we're just going to continue to build. And thank you.
Listen, you're here now, so ain't no stopping us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Definitely not. You know, InDaHouseMedia next level all the way. Hey, no, I'm goofy, y'all. Y'all know it. So thanks again, guys, for tapping in. If you have any questions or concerns, want to know how to get, you know, into writing, want to know how you could get your work published, you have Mr. Wright. Want to learn about screenwriting, you have Mr. Wright. You want to get into the television, movie, film, sketch comedy, drama, you name it, reality, contact Mr. Wright. Because
we also do. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
we also do. If you got a story you want to tell, we also do ghostwriting. You know, if you know, a lot of people got stories and they don't know how to tell them. We do ghostwriting. We do consulting. So if you got the book but you don't know what to do with it, you know, Just Right Publications does a lot. We're very multi level on, you know, how to help people out and get their dreams, make their dreams come to fruition. So, you know, no task too big or too small. Just hit us up.
Yes, get with Just Right Publication. As he said, he is accessible on all platforms and he does answer back. So tap on
That
the in.
yeah, I do answer back.
Yes,
Myself, I answer back myself all the time.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So, guys, we appreciate you tapping in and sharing our space today. I am your host, Michelle Diamond, and this is the Renaissance man himself, Mr. Sean Wright. And until next time, In the House Media gives all love.
Peace.
Oh, let me keep talking, you guys. All right, so I'm not gone. So let me tell you how much, no, seriously, how much of a trooper we were today. And people are going to see that the show was a little bit off, but the boss man had surgery today and he still put forth his best effort in helping because he is under medication. He literally just got home from the hospital. So, shouts out to Mr. Dorn himself.
Definitely.
Being the super talented and just amazing person that he is. Yeah. So tap into In the House Media as well. And we're definitely going to be out now because guess what I did? I made sure that he woke up.
Good job. Was Dorn sleep?
Yeah, the medication.
It's a medication. Yeah.
But you know what? I needed this laugh, y'all. This is so good for my energy right now. It's amazing. So thank y'all for lifting my spirits. Sean, you're always a trooper. So thank you again. But
No doubt. I love you and I appreciate you for having me.
We love you too. Absolutely. All right, Jerome, we're out. We'll see you. You okay, Jerome? You coming in the green?